All right, welcome to day 7 of the visualization training program. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to use tactics trainers, but we're going to use a couple of little wrinkles as we're doing that. And so my recommendation is if you have a Lee Chess account, that works really well for this. You can look for other tactics ones like Chessimple, or I'm not sure if chess.com works for this or not, but you can test it. But the idea is to enter the puzzles or tactics problems. And what you want to do is you want to set the difficulty level to easy. So on the lower left-hand side here, on Lee Chess, you can set it to easier. If you don't have an account, there will also be an option down here where you can choose like easy, I think like easy, medium, and hard or something like that. The key is you want these to be puzzles that you can solve without having to strain a whole lot, because we do want to solve the puzzle, but the idea that we're trying to work on is visualization, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So I just booted mine up, this puzzle came up, and this is the puzzle that was presented to me with black to move. And what you want to do is at first avoid looking at the chessboard, and we want to go over to the right side here. You can see this position came out of an actual game by these two players up here in the left-hand corner, but the notation of the game is over here on the right-hand side. And for our first step of the problem, that's all we're going to look at, is that notation. And specifically, the very first move, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to look at this last move, which was queen to f2, and we're just going to visualize the f2 square. And we want to just visualize it as good as we can in our head, and we want to say what color square that is. And if that doesn't come to us quickly, which it probably won't at this point, we want to use that X-wing anchor to help us determine what color that square is and to help us visualize that square better. And so first you want to try to do this without looking at the chessboard. You want to try to visualize that F2 square. So try doing that. And then I will put a board up here and we'll paint in that X-wing anchors on all sides and show how to use that as a way to determine the color of that square and to kind of picture it a little bit more clearly. And then eventually you won't need to use that anchor, but it's something to use until you can just really quickly know what color square F2 is. So just go ahead and try to do that. I'll pause the video here. And then I will put up a board. So do that without looking at the chessboard. Try to visualize the F2 square and determine what color it is. All right, now that you've had a moment to try to visualize that square on your own without using the board, let's just look real quickly at a board. And this tactics problem we're doing from the black side. So I have black on the bottom. I have the orientation so that we're seeing it from black's perspective here. And the square is F7. And so if we draw in our X-wing corners, our anchor, that we practice visualizing clearly those corners, we notice that F7 is in between F8 and F6, which are both dark squares. So that means it has to be a light square. So try to visualize this X-wing corner and focus in on this F7 square, and just do that for 10 seconds or so, and then we will move on to the next part of the exercise. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go back to the puzzle itself, and we'll work on solving this puzzle, but we're going to add one wrinkle to it. What we want to do, the puzzle is presented to us as it is on the screen here, but what we want to do is we want to go back one move one ply, half a move or one ply, so one turn for white. And we do that by hitting this arrow key to the left underneath the notation, or you can hit the left arrow key on your keyboard. And when we do that, the position goes to where it was before white made their last move. And what we want to do is we want to visualize white's move, which will be the last move here in the notation, which is queen to f2. So we want to visualize the queen going to f2 without moving it on the chessboard and solve the problem from there. And so I'll let you guys take a couple minutes. You can pause the video and try to solve that if you want. But we want to visualize the queen going to f2. Try to hold that image in our mind while we solve the puzzle. And then when we get done, we'll look at an additional thing that you'll kind of pick up, and you'll actually get better at tactics as you do this. And I'll tell you why afterwards. So you'll get benefits beyond just improving your visualization muscle. But it looks to me like if this queen was on f2, we could set up a mating in 2 pattern by checking here on a5. The king has to go to b3, and then we'll play queen from a5 to a4, attacking the king, and it won't have any escape squares that aren't covered by the queen, and so it'll be checkmate. And interestingly, we'll put that in. I'll go forward here in a second and we'll put that answer in. But interestingly, one thing that this drill will help you do, in addition to, learning these squares, learning how the anchors tie into the squares in the first part, in the second part, you'll learn how to hold an image in your mind just a little bit better by going back one move. And as you get really good at this, you could go back 3 moves, 5 moves, seven moves, whatever you get to. But even just doing it one ply like this, one move for white, will help you more than you think. And one reason for that is we notice when we play queen to f2 and we force ourselves to look at white's last move, we can see the effect of white's move on the rest of the board and the rest of the interaction of the pieces. And so when white moves to f2, he actually gives up control of the a4 square, and that's what allows us to move our queen to a4 and checkmate white. If the queen was still here, once we move to a4, white could play queen takes queen, and it wouldn't be checkmate. So let's just, the final step will just be to put in our answer and see if we got it correctly. So to do that, what we want to do is we want to hit the right arrow on our keyboard or hit this down here. And then we make our move, and we'll see if we are correct. So now we do that, and success, it's checkmate. And then it queues up the next puzzle, and we would repeat the process. Try not to look at the board, look at the last move, bishop to g7, and visualize that g7 square. Set up that crosswing. It's interesting that this is a square that's directly, in the middle of our crosswing. And so that one will be easier to instantly know that that's a dark square if we've been working on that X-wing visualization. Then we go back half a ply and we solve the puzzle from here. And I would say try to do this for like 10 minutes if you could, or whatever you have time for. Anything will help. And this is like something you could add on in addition to the other ones if you want. But like I said, the key is consistency. So if that keeps you from just moving forward and doing the session for each day, then don't. Just do what you have time for. Like this does help your tactics in addition to your visualization. So it's a good thing to keep in mind in the future as you develop your visualization skills and you just want to keep them crisp. This is a good way of doing that. And then you also gain tactical strength as well, so it's like a double hitter. So we will see you at the next session, and good luck with these tactics.